Happy Mastering Money Monday. Can you believe it's March already and the weather is beautiful here in Chicago? It's 57 degrees. I can't believe it, but I'm so happy. And I've been very busy this week. We finished our home ownership session at Victory Cathedral Worship Center. We had 26 people apply. Several people got approved. A couple people actually went out and put an offer on houses. So it's been so exciting. My goal and purpose in life is to really help people build wealth and increase their financial position. And so home ownership is the biggest wealth gap in our country for the underrepresented. And so as I teach financial literacy across the country, I cannot teach it without focusing and hitting on home ownership. And the credit report is a barrier for many people. And so that's why I'm spending so much time on the credit report, because this is tax season. This is a time when people get a large lump sum of money that they can either use for a down payment or pay their debts down. And so I always try to make sure I have home ownership sessions early in the year where you can really utilize that income tax check to help you benefit for years to come. So I'm going to give you some tips today on credit reports. So I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and jot some things down. And so even if you have a good credit report, this might help you help some of your family members or other people that you know within your community. So let me just grab my notes here and put my glasses on. I want to make sure I hit all of my points. So let me just say this. The credit score is essentially a reflection of how you pay your debts from a lender's perspective anyway. And I know many people have had health issues that messed up their credit report and messed up, their ability to pay their bills, or maybe you've lost a job and it doesn't have an indication of what you can do long term. But this is the only thing that the credit companies can use that's probably fair and an algorithm and consistent across the industry. But I also want you to know that repairing your credit report and your score sometimes is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So there's cases where you can fix your credit report and your score within a couple weeks. And sometimes it might take 3 months, or sometimes it might take 6 months. So I want you to be patient. There's a lot of tips I can give you that could potentially increase your credit score very, very quickly. So that's why I want you to pay attention to all the points that I'm going to say today. So the very first step is to stay on top of your payments. So payment history is 35% of your credit score. So if you're 30 days or 60 days or 90 days late, that is recorded every single time you do that. And it's a major, major hit to your credit score. So I always tell people and encourage people to automate your bills. Most banks have auto bill pay. And so your rent and things that are consistent. I personally, I'm on the budget for as many utilities as I possibly can. And I may pay $5 over like my water bill because it changes every month. So I may pay a little bit more on my water bill just so I don't have to worry about missing my payment. And so you can do that. You can automate your payments and then you're guaranteed that they're going to be on time. So that's tip number one. Number two is keep an eye on your credit utilization and that rate. So the banks look at how much credit you have and how much you have on your balances for your credit score. So for example, let's just give you an example. Let's say you have a $1,000 credit card and you charge it up to the limit, $1,000. Your utilization is now 100%. You want to get your utilization down to 30% or below. And if you have 100% credit utilization and you bring it down to 30, major impact on your credit score, major. And so you can use your tax return to do that. The other thing is if you have, let's say you have $1,000 credit card and you spend $500 on it, you're now at 50% utilization, so your credit score is going to be impacted. How do you fix that? Like let's say you don't have any money to pay the credit card down. You could do two things. One, you could try to increase the limit, right? So if you have a $1,000 credit card and you have a $500 balance, or let's say you got a $1,000 balance, see if you can increase it to $3,000. Brings your utilization to 30% right away. Guess what? Major impact on your credit score. Major. Another thing you could do on utilization is find a family member or a friend or a neighbor, I don't know, that has good credit, and maybe they have a credit card that has a zero balance, but they just keep it. They can add you as a second user. Now you don't get a credit card, and you can assure them that they don't have to give you a credit card. You're not going to mess up their credit score. They're only going to be helping you, and it's only going to be temporary. But them adding you to their credit card will boost your utilization. So let's say you got a $1,000 credit card, $1,000 balance, and you got a friend that has a $3,000 credit card with zero balance. Guess what? Your utilization just went to 30%. You didn't have to spend any money. You can also do that for your kids. So if you want to start your kids out at 700 credit score, let's say they're 16, 17, 18 years old, you can put them on the car note so that they have great payment history. You can add them as a second user. Let's say you have a 25-year-old that may have messed up their credit score. You can add them to your credit card as a second user. You don't have to give them a credit card and improve their credit score. Isn't that wonderful? Wonderful, wonderful tip. So that was step number 2. Step number 3, don't close unused credit cards. So why would I say that? So let's say now you have 3 credit cards, all 3 with $1,000 limits. And one of the credit cards is at 1,000, but the other 2 are at 0. So you're at 30% utilization. Great, right? But now let's say you close one of those credit cards that had a 0 balance. You don't use it, you just close it. You want to minimize the number of credit cards you have. Well, guess what? Your utilization just went to 50%. You just impacted your credit score. So you want to be careful about how you're closing and be very smart and calculate. You can pre-calculate your utilization before you do any deletion of credit cards, okay? Number 3, apply for new credit cards and new credit only when you absolutely need it. So beware of when you get to the cash register, let's say at a Macy's or a grocery store, even a grocery store is now ask you if you want a credit card, or TJ Maxx or Marshall's, wherever you shop. When you get to the counter, they'll say, if you open a credit card, we'll give you 20% off today. I really think they get commission for that. But anyway, most of the time you're only saving $2 or $3. You're not saving that much. If it's a big ticket item, you might want to weigh it. But if it's a blouse or a shirt or some pants, no. You know why? They have to do a hard inquiry on your score, on your credit report. And that impacts your score. So there are some hard queries that you got to deal with. But this one, nah, don't impact your credit score. Especially if you're open 2, 3, or 4, that can impact your score significantly. Even when you're shopping for a car, now this is a really big problem. Car dealers have a tendency to try different banks to get you a rate. They might try 10 different banks, and there's 10 different inquiry hits on your credit score. That can impact your score 30, 40 points. So you want to make sure when you go to the car dealer, you let them know, I only want you to run mine once, or take your credit report with you so that they can see what it is. So anyway, those are a couple tips. Now, tip number 4 is dispute any inaccuracies on your credit report. Now, why would this be important? Identity theft is a huge issue in this country. And so you want to make sure that there's not anybody else reporting on your credit. There's nobody else using your credit cards. They have the right person, especially if you're a junior or a senior, you have a surname. You want to make sure, and even if you have a very common name like Johnson or Thompson or William or Smith, something like that, you want to make sure that everything is correct. Your address is correct. Even you may have some cases where you have a charge credit card or something on the credit report that you don't recognize. You can dispute that. And the credit card companies, credit bureaus have 30 days to figure out and query the company to see if the company recognizes it. If they don't get back in 30 days, they will take it off your credit score. So you want to make sure you do that. let's see. Also, you want to make sure that you time your applications carefully. Let me give you this example. It was really sad. Had a young man who was about to close on a home. He was closing on Friday. And so he was all set. You know, the mortgage package was ready. He was all excited, and he went and bought a new car. He thought everything was done. He went and bought a new car. They pull your credit and look at your utilization right before your closing. And so he went and bought a new car, and then he lost his approval. He was not able to close on his house. And it took him a year or two to recover from that and get a home. So you want to make sure that you time your purchases appropriately. And lastly, I want to encourage you to ask questions. So if you have any questions, you can inbox me if they're private, but I really encourage you to leave your questions in the group, because your question could help hundreds of people. And if you're in the Chicagoland area and you're looking for a home, I am not a real estate agent. I am not a loan officer. My goal is to help you. I have a really good group of people that I use that are aggressive and fair and honest, and I would love to share those with you, but you can go get your own real estate agent. That's fine. But anyway, leave your questions for me. I'll be sure to make sure that I'm answering them. Thank you for all the questions that I've had so far. Many, many questions, especially about the kids, the credit reporting the kids. Wasn't that so cute? If y'all haven't seen that one, I want you to go back and look at last week's Mastering Money to find out what kids know about credit scores, credit report, and then maybe look at what your kid might know. Maybe you should show them your credit report. With that, I'm going to say that's enough, right? If I have any more tips, I'll come back on next week. But I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy the weather, because I am. Bye-bye. See ya.